everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate if you jump on here live. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure you give the video a like, a thumbs up, share the video on all social media platforms, and make sure if you have not yet subscribed that you do so as well. I would greatly appreciate it. Tonight we're going to talk about some college football and we're going to talk some NASCAR. Let's start off in the world of NASCAR. By the way, if you know anybody that's a NASCAR fan, please feel free to tell them about the channel. I try to talk NASCAR once a week all throughout the season. I would talk about it more, but so far I haven't had a lot of people ask about it and want to talk about it. So I don't want to come on here and flood the channel with NASCAR talk and nobody watch. But I love NASCAR and I could talk NASCAR every day if I thought more people wanted to talk about it. I love NASCAR, but I love racing, and I can just sit back and watch snowmobile racing, dirt bike racing, motorcycle racing. It doesn't matter. I used to watch that Street Luge when it used to come on as part of the Olympics. Hey there, Kevron. You get ready for bed? Well, I tell you what, lucky old you, because I have not been to bed this early in the night since I was, well, I guess about 19 or 20 years old, and I'd get up at 2:30 in the morning and go to work. I just can't go to bed early. I can sit on my couch in peace and doze off like crazy. But if I get ready to go to bed, I'm staring at walls. So I don't even try to go to bed before at least 10:30. So lucky for you, Kevron, you can get you a full night sleep. But I can watch any kind of racing, but I love NASCAR in general. But I talked about a couple of weeks ago all the drivers this year with what car they're driving, their crew chief, and all that. But I have not talked about the TV changes this year in NASCAR. You see the TV changes, it lets you know that anybody to claim NASCAR is dying is out of their mind, because you wouldn't have all these different TV networks paying millions of dollars to carry NASCAR if they thought it was going under. Hey there, Mama. Glad to have you here. If I said your name wrong, I apologize. But NASCAR is just now finally recovering from Jimmy Johnson winning 5 straight championships. The TV ratings finally started going up last year, but for the last few years, we've only had 2 networks involved in carrying the Cup races. We've had Fox carry 16 races and NBC carry 20. So basically, you had Fox carrying the first half and NBC carrying the second half. Right now, I'm talking about some racing, and then we're going to talk about some college football here in a few minutes. Hey there, Dane. Glad to have you here. But now we've got 4 networks involved. One is a first-timer, and one is a old friend making its return. Fox has gone from 16 races down to 12. So now Fox will only carry 12 races. Hey there, JBX. Glad to have you here, and let's go Bucks. I'm assuming you're talking the Milwaukee Bucks. Fox gets 12, and of those 12, I think 5 are on Fox, and the other 7 are on Fox Sports 1. I believe that's right. And then Amazon Prime is making its NASCAR debut this year. They're going to carry 5 races in the early part of the summer. When I first saw it, I didn't like it. And I still don't like it because I don't have Amazon Prime and I don't want to pay for it just to watch 5 Cup races. But I did see a stat the other day that said only 68 million people have cable or satellite now, but 180 million people have Amazon Prime. So there's actually more people that have Prime than that have cable. So NASCAR is actually going to grow by being on Amazon Prime. Now, they're only carrying 5 races, the actual Sunday races, but for the first half of the season, with the exception of Daytona, I believe every other race, all the practice, and all the qualifying is going to be on Amazon Prime, but only actual 5 races. Hey there, Chelsea. Glad to have you here. And then we have TNT, who used to carry NASCAR around about 20 years ago, making their return. They're going to carry 5 races as well. Then the final 14 are going to be on NBC. Now, NBC is only going to carry, I think, 5, and the other 9 are going to be on USA, I believe. Now, TNT is going to get the finishing touches of the NASCAR in season tournament, which I think is a fantastic idea. And for the most part, all the fans so far have liked it, and all the drivers have talked about it. If you're a longtime NASCAR fan, you may recall the Winston Million back in the day. That's kind of sort of what this is, except for it expanded some. Now, this has no bearing on the point system and the championship race. All the wins and all the points mean the same. The difference is this is a tournament where they will pair 32 drivers up against each other one on one. So you'll have like Kyle Busch versus Joey Logano. And whichever one of those two finishes higher moves to the next race. The one that finishes lower is eliminated, and they'll have 16 brackets, so 2 drivers in each bracket, and they'll just keep going until they get down to the final race, and whichever one of those final 2 finishes the highest wins a cool $1 million. So it's kind of like the Winston Million with the $1 million, but the Winston Million was like, I believe, 5 races throughout the year, and if you won one of those 5, you got the million. This is going to be a lot more than 5 races, and you ain't got to win. If it's you and one other guy and you finish 21st, he's 25th, you win $1 million. So it's going to make the drivers try more in the summertime, because now with the way the points is, after you win a race, unless you just totally suck the rest of the year, you're in the playoffs. So a lot of drivers, once they get 2 or 3 wins, they'll start working on their car and tweaking some things to get ready for the playoffs. Well, now you don't want to do that because it might cost you $1 million, and $1 million can go a long way for a race team or a driver. But Adam Alexander, who used to do lap by lap coverage of the TNT races a long time ago, and a few years back, he even did the truck series on Fox Sports. He has left Fox Sports. I'm assuming he's independent now, but I'm not sure. But the last couple of years, he's been hosting NASCAR Race Hub on Fox Sports 1. But now he is going to do the entire Xfinity season series, which is going to be on the CW network. CW is going to carry every single Xfinity series race, all the practice, and all the qualifying. And Adam Alexander is doing the entire 32 race season for the Xfinity series. Plus, he's doing the 5 cup races on Amazon Prime and the 5 cup races on TNT. So Adam Alexander, counting Xfinity and Cup, is doing 40 plus races this year. I was hoping he would be the future lap by lap guy for Fox whenever Mike Joy does finally retire. He still might be, but now I guess he's independent because CW is owned by one network, Amazon's another network, and TNT's another network. So I'm going to guess Adam Alexander is now a freelancer, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll go back to Fox if and when Mike Joy ever does retire. But I've always liked Adam Alexander. Dale Jr. will be in the booth now for the 5 races that Amazon Prime is going to carry. And Danielle Trotta, who used to work on Fox back in the day for their NASCAR coverage, is going to be part of the pre-race and post-race show this year for Amazon Prime. Just some of the changes coming. You look at all the money NASCAR is making on this TV deal, it tells you NASCAR is not dying. It's not hurt, not going away, because why would these TV companies pay $1 million for something that nobody's going to watch? and you're seeing more and more sponsors come in. So NASCAR is sitting in a pretty place right now. But let's talk some college football. I think everybody knows by now, but in case you don't, National Signing Day is coming up in less than a week. It's coming up on Wednesday. It's always the first Wednesday in February. That's not changing. So it's right around the corner. So next week, we'll have some National Signing Day stuff to talk about. Now, I follow signing day to a certain extent. I'm not like some people that get up and read about it and watch it all day long. I'll wait till the day's over with and I'll go back and, look at the top five, top 10 players that each school signs. But as a Clemson fan, when I see their signing day, I'm like, okay. And I don't feel better or worse about their team, regardless of how good or bad signing day is, because I've just seen too many times where people put too much stock into a player and think a team is going to get drastically better because of one player, and it just never happens. And I've also seen, times where players sign 2 and 3 star players and they get there and they develop and they become 5 star players. I've also seen times where, a team will sign 25 star athletes and they're all legit 5 star athletes, but they just don't gel together as a team. So I follow signing day, but if Clemson was to sign 75 5 star athletes, I'm not coming out and saying, oh, yeah, national champions. So I follow it, but I don't follow it like that. I wait until I see the players on the field and wait until I see how they gel before I decide what I think about it. Jim Knowles left Ohio State as their defensive coordinator to go to Penn State to become their defensive coordinator. So it's kind of strange that it looks like on paper that he's taking a step back because, you know, you were the coach of a team that just won the national championship and you leave to go to a team that couldn't beat them. So Ohio State had Penn State's number, but Jim Knowles leaves Ohio State to go to Penn State. Kind of an odd one there. And in case you have not heard, the ACC is signing a TV deal with ESPN through 2036. Now, I have not read all the opinions, all the thoughts, all that kind of good stuff, but I have read a little bit about this, and it sounds like ESPN is trying, and the ACC is trying to make Clemson the top of the conference and to build the conference around Clemson. And that's why you haven't heard lately about Clemson still trying to sue to get out of the conference because it looks like the conference is trying to build around them. And I've said from the get go that I didn't think Clemson was going to leave the ACC. I just didn't feel that way. Still don't feel that way. But at first, when ESPN was thinking about, giving the conference its expansion, it sounded like they were, building the conference around Florida State and trying to make it all about Florida State. But the problem was, Florida State was trying to sue the ACC to get out, but nobody else came calling. Big Ten didn't want them. Big 12 didn't want them. The SEC didn't want them. Heck, the AAC didn't want them. So I guess ESPN thought, you know what? If Florida State is so good, how come nobody is wanting them? So now they're trying to restructure the contract and build it around Clemson, which makes more sense. They've been the more consistent football program now for the last decade plus. And I'm also glad the ACC is finally climbing out of their cave and realizing that in collegiate sports, money is made in college football. College basketball makes some, but nothing like football does. And that was what held the ACC back forever because their old commissioner of the conference was a North Carolina graduate. So he was a basketball guy. So he put all his eggs in the basket of college basketball. No pun intended. And it was all about Tobacco Road. And it was all about, getting Duke and North Carolina on TV in prime time as much as possible during college basketball season. and you had every other conference building their conference around college football, and you had the ACC building their conference around college basketball and wondering, how come we're not growing? How come nobody cares about us? Well, it's because you're focusing on college basketball. And now it looks like they're finally realizing if you're going to step forward and go forward for good, not go one forward and two back, you're going to have to get off college basketball and get on college football, especially now that North Carolina is no longer any good at college basketball. And Duke is still good. Duke might win the whole thing this year in college basketball, but they no longer have Mike Krzyzewski. So Duke no longer has the name head coach they had, and North Carolina, well, they suck now. So the ACC's finally deciding to climb out of their cave and focus on college football and build their conference around Clemson. So as I said probably about a year ago, I don't see Clemson leaving the ACC. I didn't feel that way a year ago before all this TV contract talk started, but I still don't feel that way. I've always felt like if you're Clemson and you've won two national titles where you are in less than the last 10 years, why would you leave? If you're winning where you are, why leave? Doesn't make any sense to me. So I've said from day one, they're not leaving that conference. They're winning. Why would you leave when you're winning where you are? But now that this new TV deal is going through, I sure don't think they're going to leave. But any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Why shouldn't you play poker in the jungle? There's too many cheetahs. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them.